As an older woman, what age range will you classify yourself as an older woman?
We said that
You can read. Let me give her this one.
okay. Yeah, sorry about that. We said that the older woman is an older woman who is maybe older in years and also wise because of the experience that she's had. So this will be an older woman, like older in age, like myself to you. I'm an older woman to you. And so I can teach you, but sometimes it can also be an older woman in the sense that she can teach someone. I can be younger, but teach someone who is older because they are young in their spiritual lives, their Christian faith. So if I'm teaching, there are times when I'm younger, but I teach older women, like the things that I've been teaching you. And I do that perhaps because maybe they are younger in faith. And so I can also have an influence, on them. But generally, it doesn't matter age. If you are married for a year, you also have younger people who you can teach. So it's about being older than someone, older in faith, older in experience, older in knowledge. You can have that kind of influence. And I think we also said you can also teach other women, maybe just as peers. You can also teach one another. But the major core in Titus 2 is to be that older woman to younger women. I think that emphasis of younger women is there.
How would you respond if you find yourself in a setting where your husband is being disrespected in his absence? Should you speak up on his behalf? Should you defend your husband when he's being disrespected in his absence?
Disrespected by who? Is it by family? Is it by friends? By children? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think what is important, if you see that kind of attitude, it's important to draw aside the person and speak to them privately and show them their sin. So you use Matthew 18 in that sense. Yeah, yeah. If your brother sins against you, what do? You go and show them their sin. That is how you use. So you use biblical principles when you're doing when you're dealing with issues like that.
Titus says we should submit in order that the gospel should not be maligned. But in our day and age, submission is what makes unbelievers mock Christianity now. So how do we obey this teaching now?
Remember, your submission to the Lord is not done for non-Christians. It's done unto the Lord. The Lord is the one who designs what it should look like. And if you are doing a correct way, you want God to applaud you, isn't it, and reward you. The Christians, that is not your goal. So that is not your focus. Do what is right. And I can tell you that when you are doing what is right, you will be happier. Because for them, the way that their view of submission is not biblical submission. Because biblical submission is a beautiful thing. So if they are not admiring the submission in you, it means maybe there's something wrong you're doing.
What if my husband isn't physically affectionate or is extremely uptight? There's a follow-up. There's another question relating to that.
Yeah.
Does the command to love our husband require emotional attachment, or only to treat them lovingly, take care of them, help them, support them?
Yeah, there must be some emotional attachment, some affection that you do. Now, there are some people who grow up, maybe they didn't grow up in an affectionate home. Hugging is a foreign thing. That is how they grew up. So they're uptight. It's important to talk about that because it's an issue. Why is it not happening? So it's one of the conversations you need to have about that. And perhaps you are the affectionate one. Teach him what it looks like. But do not stop giving him the hugs and be affectionate because he's not being one. And sometimes the expectation is that he has got it all together, but maybe he has a scar that is bringing into the marriage. Maybe there was something that is affected him so deeply that now he can't express himself like that. So talk. When you understand the reasons, it will be easier for you to actually help out.
How do you set the tone in your home if your husband is the moody one?
So so your husband doesn't determine your response. Okay, remember, your response to situations is unto the Lord. You don't do the wrong thing because someone is doing the wrong thing. So like the previous question, maybe you can learn something on how that is done. But that moodiness, the question is, why is this person moody? It means there's a problem. Okay, and it needs to be interrogated. Maybe ask him, is he struggling? Is he struggling with something else? Because that moodiness is a sign that something is wrong. So he needs help. So help him out. Talk. Again, it's a conversation you must have. Find the right time, a right place. You can even make an appointment. Yeah, and you can bring out that issue. I am concerned or I am affected, by whatever is going on. And the Lord expects us to be this, that, and the other.
If a new convert approaches me for my hand in marriage, and I think that he may still need to understand biblical manhood a bit more,
yeah,
what do I do?
You give him time. Yeah, give him time. It means maybe he needs to learn. There are times when people have gone ahead and maybe married and maybe this man still grows. What you are hoping is that, he needs to understand. Now, understanding biblical manhood and his role as a husband is a prerequisite to marriage. So how does he marry you and he doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing? Yeah, there's no basis actually for marriage because you're just marrying disaster. There will be just disaster.
If a single sister does not like the brother approaching her, even though they meet every criteria of a godly man, or the one she likes does not approach her, is she negating her role or purpose as a biblical woman?
Read that question again.
If a single sister does not like the brother approaching her, even though they meet every criteria of a godly man, or the one she likes does not approach her, is she negating her role and purpose as a biblical woman?
Yeah, it can be a yes and a no. She can negate that by asking herself, why isn't she finding this biblical godly woman attractive? Yeah, or man attractive. So it is a point where one has to search herself, find out, maybe there's just some wrong, misplaced conceptions about what a husband must look like and things like that. Because for any person, that is the man you want to go for. So it's a matter of prayer. Pray, Lord, look at this man, and maybe the Lord will begin to show you that that's the one. And if the person you like doesn't come, you don't want to force someone who does not love you to just come into your place, because you'll go into a loveless marriage. But also, how do you, go to him and just tell him that he's the one you love? It's complicated, isn't it? I think we did talk about this. The other day? So what is important is pray. Pray that the right person comes. Your call is to be active in the life of the church. If this man who loves you, sees you, hopefully you can be in the same space where you're interacting, and that is how usually you fall in love. Because someone has come to know you, has come to know what you value, can see that you love the Lord and you are serving the Lord. I'm sure hopefully they'll also find you attractive. What do you do when this man is attractive, he's godly, but he doesn't see you? Okay. Sometimes you can push in a word to the elders. Maybe his eyes are just too scattered. Or the pastors, they will be able to maybe speak for you. Yeah.
Okay, so this one is quite long. What do you do as a woman when you later realize in the marriage that there is really a wide gap in the belief and value system of both parties, having communicated with one spouse severally, not in a harsh way, and it's extending to parenting, even in your walk with God, which often is misinterpreted and portrays the wife as the overdoer or as the overdo? What should the wife do physically?
Yeah. Of course, that is an unfortunate situation. Remember what I was talking about when I was talking about mentoring, is that before you get married, it's important to talk about parenting. What some of the things that you'll be doing. How many children, perhaps God willing, if it's in your hands, how many children you are going to have. And usually it's not just about how many children you have, it's about how are you going to raise them. Usually we know how many children, we can even space them according to age. So it's like a family planning, and it ends only according to how often you have them, but it's not planning how you're going to raise them. And so this is a situation where now you're married, and the man is going that way. His views on parenting is different from yours. And then you begin to clash. You do your best, the best that you can as a woman to parent them. And unfortunately, because the man is the one in authority, sometimes it can be very, very difficult. But this is a case where, because it's a serious thing, because you are trying to shape the lives of these children and shape their souls, that you seek counsel if possible. Maybe as quickly as possible, so that you can be helped. Because as a man, you can see that as a woman, if you are the one now leading, you are now being seen as being strong, isn't it? And it can pose a problem. So seek help so that you can be aligned and you can have the same biblical worldview on parenting. But it also means that there's a need for a lot of training. Maybe as a couple, or maybe the man to be trained, if you are the one who understands, or even for you, maybe to be trained to understand what is the biblical view. So it means there's need for learning.
I understand your point of biblical submission as a wife. My issue or question is this: does it mean that just by being born a male, one automatically becomes the head of a house, or has the right to exercise authority? Because I strongly believe that leadership isn't just restricted to one gender, who may not even have something upstairs to lead. E.g., the man called Nabal in the Bible.
Nabal. Yeah. Yeah, so the issue the issue of submission, you don't submit. There's what we call mutual submission. You find that in Ephesians, where you submit to one another. Okay, like you can listen to your friend. Your friend can influence you. It may be maybe some brothers in the church or in the family. We coexist because of that mutual submission. Okay, but when you are married, okay, you submit to your husband. So this submission that we're talking about here, it is to your husband. Now, you are the one who chose him. You should have known he was a neighbor before you got married. So remember what I was saying. Yeah, before you get married, you need to ask yourself, can you submit to this man? Okay, I think I've been talking about this situation. How come you have a neighbor you can't submit to? By the time you're having a neighbor in marriage, you need to have prepared yourself to say, oh, this man is like this, and I'm going to submit to him, even in his situation. So there, it doesn't matter whether your husband is not as smart as you are, whether your husband is not, he's wired in a different way. As long as he's your husband and he's leading you not to sin, you are supposed to submit to him in everything. The only way you cannot submit to a man is when he's causing you to sin. Or maybe if he's mentally, physically, legally declared he's mentally wrong. Something is wrong with him.
Okay.
He's not in his right mind, to lead you.
When a single woman looks at a man and when a single woman looks at a man and think they cannot submit, is that a sin of an underlying sin? Probably pride. So is there an underlying sin? Probably pride. Also, where do you balance submission and sharing your opinion when a man is wrong and not willing to listen?
Yeah, so there are times when that's how come you choose maybe 1 out of 10. Yeah, because there's something that you've seen in this man, you are comfortable with his leadership, maybe you are more aligned, you have a similar biblical views on things, and he can teach you, he can guide you, and this knowledge is also different, okay? Because the man that you choose at that point in time is determined by your spiritual standard. Okay. The man you choose says a lot about who you are. Okay, maybe I should say that. And you are going to choose according to where you are spiritually. Okay. So sometimes the problem is you choose and you're not doing well spiritually. Then you begin to grow. You're not backslidden. You get better, and then you look back, and then you begin to have problems. Oh, this man, okay, and that's how come you're not advised to be in a relationship if you're backslidden, because you're going to choose wrongly. Okay, your standard will be low, and that's how come if you're not spiritual, and you're choosing, and people are telling you, no, don't. It's because perhaps your spiritual life, or you're not strong, you're not a mature Christian yet. So your choice is going to be determined, by that. Now, are you sinning if you're saying, maybe you can't lead me? No, you're not. Okay. You just want to make a good decision that is going to help you run a smooth Christian life. Now, how, can you have an opinion in a marriage? You do. Remember what I said, you are a suitable helper. Okay? It doesn't mean when you are in marriage, you don't have a voice. If that is what you think, then you are going to struggle. And I'm hoping that your husband doesn't think like that. He must value you as a suitable helper who is going to help, even as you are making decisions. Okay? You are making decisions, you are sitting down, you're analyzing your marriage, you're analyzing your spiritual life, you're analyzing your finances, you're analyzing your businesses, your parenting. You do that together. Okay, well, how are we doing? Because marriage can't be lived just by one person. Okay, it's a mutual relationship, isn't it? Yeah, so you're making all those decisions together, you're bringing in your opinion, this is what I think, and you're doing it in deference to him, with that recognition that he's a man. Okay. And of course, where now it comes to a point where the decisions have to be made, he makes that final decision. Where there is a deadlock and you are not agreed, the husband is the one who makes that final decision. And when that decision is made, okay, there's nothing like, I told you afterwards if it doesn't work. Okay. Because that is just the nature of decision making. And so you will find that men tend to be slower maybe in decision making because they have to clearly think through a lot of things. Their responsibility is weightier than yours, because they'll give an account on the way that they're managing your home. So you're a valuable partner. You remember, God has given you intellect, you are sharing in God's communicable attributes. You are knowledgeable. Okay, you can create. So you bring into the marriage all that. Okay, the way that you were raised, the knowledge that you have, the experiences that you have, the background that you have. There's a reason why God brings you from different backgrounds. It is so that He can make your marriage a better relationship, not to weaken it. You can't be the same. So you need to ask, what is she bringing? What is she saying? And if your husband is also wise, he will use you. Sometimes you are bringing in maybe a better idea, and in his decision making, he will use your idea to make it. Okay, it is his idea, but of course he's incorporated your idea. That way, that is how it works. So you mustn't go feeling you can't say anything. And that's why even in a relationship, as you are relating, you can tell this man, he is considerate. Like, this is what he thinks about me. And because of that, you're comfortable with him. Yeah. And so you gauge that before you get married. But maybe another thing that I can add is that because you're only supposed to submit like that, or to your husband like that in marriage, does it mean that you can't submit to other men? Okay. I've already stated that in the state, there's that kind of submission to authority. In the church, in the home, submission is to your husband. Now, there must also be this recognition as you are living out your lives, like single women, or as you're growing up as a woman, that doesn't matter whether you're at a job and maybe you are the boss and there are men, that you begin to belittle men. Because sometimes there's a tendency like to do that. Okay? Every time, doesn't matter whether it's a boy child, what you need to remember is that God has imprinted in them, okay, certain things that will make them behave in a particular way. Okay? They'll cope and do well when they're respected. It doesn't matter whether they're a husband or not. And if you want a man to really help you build your career, you just need to bring alongside a man you're going to respect. You know that is a man. He may not be your husband, but recognize that God is a God. God has given him, designed him, with these abilities, to lead, to protect, to a point where, imagine you're on the street. Someone comes and wants to hit you, maybe it's a robber or someone, and there are some young men who are playing around. What usually will be the natural tendency? This boy will come and protect you. Yeah. It is in men to do that. It is in boys. A boy child will come and do that for you. Okay? So it is in men. So there must be this recognition. And so it is sad when sometimes, because now you have a higher job, we begin to belittle man. Oh, no, who are you? That is wrong. That is wrong. So there must be this respect, recognition, and appreciation. And I can tell you that when you do that, your job will succeed. Because though you are the boss in your job, you've recognized the role men play in your company, and that will work to your advantage.
Okay. As a single lady, I have some money saved before marriage. When I eventually get married, do I keep my saved up stash for myself? The person I marry should. If I have earned the man I marry, should I still expect him to give me money for upkeep? That's the second question. The first one is, if as a single lady I have some money saved before marriage, when I eventually get married, do I save up my stash as my own or bring it into the marriage?
When you are making your vows, there is a place, I think, in our vow making, there's a place where you say, all that I have is yours. Okay. So, and that's why, when we start premarital counseling, some of the things that we take our counselees in is the vows. Yeah. It's a vows. What do the vows mean? Okay, because it's so easy for you just to go forever, for better, for worse, and but then you have issues. So we want them to really understand what the vows mean. Okay, and so that by the time you are saying "I do," you know exactly what you're saying. You know the implications, of those vows. Now, there are, in the legal world, there are also prenuptial. Is it? Prenups that you can do, isn't it? Before you get married, maybe you want to protect your whatever. You can do that, but you need to talk about it, okay? Because some of these things then begin to bring distrust in the marriage, okay? But you know what? What you need to understand is he's not your enemy, Yeah, you are supposed to achieve something, with this man. So if you are distrusting him, why are you marrying him? Okay. Because what you want is to bring to the table, and like I said previously, you may find that you are marrying a man perhaps at the moment who doesn't have everything. Maybe you are blessed than he is. Okay. And you can be the means of stabilizing your home and your build, because you also know that he understands his responsibility and he's going to provide. When a man knows he's supposed to provide and he's building towards that, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if he's earning and he's supposed to take care of you, that is what the men are there for, isn't it? They are there to provide. You've heard me say that, isn't it? To protect and also to lead. But if you have extra money on your side, why not buy the food? Okay. If this money that he's making is not enough, you can even tell your friend is dried out. And meanwhile, you're keeping millions of money. Okay, does that make sense to you? Yeah, no. Yeah. And I think wisdom dictates that because you are building this home together, you are building it. You are building it with your energy, you are building it also with your money. If you have your money, you are building it with everything to make sure that this home is functioning. What is important is to talk about it. So that you don't feel like he's eating my money, he's not as responsible. And especially when you're starting out, usually you will find that your husband doesn't have it yet. He's not like your dad, okay, who has the houses and the whatever. He's just starting out, and your parents also started out like that. Okay, what they are now is not what they were when they started out. So this guy won't have a lot. He will take you to a one-roomed house maybe, a one-roomed place. But you know that he has a potential. I can tell you that most of my friends, when we were growing up, we got married to maybe men who had nothing. Okay. But all of us are now, we have at least a home, you know what I'm talking about, a car or two. There's building, there's capacity. Okay, yeah. That is just how it works. So for you to come and expect this man is going to be like that, sometimes you expect too much. So you really need to have a pure heart, okay, where you can say, okay, this is my money, it is our money. We're going to build this together, and things like that. So if you think he's going to eat your money, maybe don't marry him. Yeah, marry someone with a lot of money, so that you don't feel that your money is at stake. Okay. Because otherwise it will be a problem in the home. You'll be keeping back, you'll be suspicious. You won't support him the way that he needs to be supported.
Okay. What do you do about a husband who does not respond to clear words and conversation, but instead he responds to tears and outbursts of emotion?
I think I've answered this question almost like every day, right? I mean, what can make a man go to those lengths where he's shedding tears? Is it a man or woman?
Question is, he only responds to you when you have outbursts of emotion or are in tears, but he doesn't respond when you're trying to have conversation, proper conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, perhaps maybe you're not making your points clear. You're not sitting down properly to talk. Like I said previously, make an appointment. Yeah, find a better time. use the right words, be logical, and argue from the scriptures, be biblically based. When you are raising issues, you are actually raising them correctly. And unfortunately for you, those tears are manipulative. Okay, so you are getting your way. It's almost like throwing a tantrum. When you are shedding tears and that is throwing a tantrum, because and you are getting your way, the way a child gets their way when they throw a tantrum. So that the way that you are receiving that support and ear, a listening ear, is not the right way. So try to ask yourself, what am I doing wrong that is not making this man, really properly listen? Do I not know how to argue? Okay, my point. Okay, do I not know how to put my points logically onto the table? Do I use a bad attitude? Because sometimes a man will just shut you off because your manner, your tone, your behavior is all wrong. And now, because you don't know what to do, you don't know how to speak, you are manipulating now. Okay, and that is, I think, what I'm seeing in that. You need counsel, actually. You need help to learn how to come across correctly.
Okay, so this is two questions in one. How can one balance being playful with your husband and respecting him? And the second part is, how can one avoid treating one's husband like a child, over caring, over pampering, in trying to be his helpmeet?
Yeah. Over caring is not bad. Over pampering is not bad. I think any normal man would love that. Yeah, and I mean, you can play, you can play games. If you play tennis, you play together. You can joke together. You can do fun things together, and I think that is what the playing is about. Of course, you are not going to play we are not going to play the way you play with a 2-year-old. Okay, you are playing with an intelligent man, and you're not going to treat him the way that you are treating him in your play, like you are treating a 5-year-old. You are dealing with someone who is your husband, who has authority, someone you must respect. So even when you are doing your play, you are also respectful. It's the same, like if you want to play with your teachers, for some reason there's a game. Are you going now to start saying, instead of saying Miss someone, you now begin to say, hey, girlfriend or whatever? No, there's a way in which you still maintain that respect. It's the same with your mom. If you're playing with your mom, you now just don't stop saying mom. You want to treat her like she's your friend. There are some things that you still need to maintain. You can play that game, you do whatever, but still maintaining the fact that she's still your mom. So there's still that boundary. So you mustn't have this relationship with your husband, that relationship of fear. Okay, maybe that's what. Sometimes it's fear. You're afraid. Afraid of this man. There's no need to be afraid. You must be friends, like best friends. And sometimes best friends, you fight, yeah, isn't it? But you know how to get back together, and it's okay. So you mustn't just assume because he must love me, he's my husband. When he sins, you blow it out of proportion. You need to find a way of biblically, how do we resolve this so that we can continue to be best friends? That's important.
How do you not? Sorry. How do you not usurp the role of a husband who takes too much time to do every little thing? Almost as if everything will be grounded if you don't step up and make decisions, payments, and whatever needs to be done.
Yeah. So the question you need to be asking is it because he doesn't understand his role? What is that? What is this? Because you need to give it a definition. Okay, is it ignorance? Is it just disobedience, negligence? And where that is, of course, you need to talk about it. For a smooth, harmonious, peaceful relationship, things need to happen. That's how come this rule of a husband loving and whatever, wife submitting, it must run like a smooth clock, right? And when things are not running well, I think there's value in sitting down and just expressing your concern. And of course, ascertain, does he know or doesn't know? And where he doesn't know, he gets the knowledge so that he understands this is what he's supposed to be doing. And where there is sin, sin must be repented of so that he really begins to take on his role. Now, it's very difficult for you to begin to say, you are not doing this, because sometimes you're going to do it out of irritation, out of anger. How can you find a respectful way of helping him take on, his role? So you can find a way of helping him, begin to play that role. Sometimes because we're impatient, women, we are impatient, we begin to take on those roles. There are times when just leave it and see how it will be done. He will do it. But sometimes he won't do it at your time, but he will do it at his own time when it's convenient for him. The problem usually is that you want it now, but maybe for him it's late, and for you, you think then he can't do his work. Okay? So it's both ways. So ascertain what is this, but also check yourself and let him lead. Give him time. Some people need more time than others.
Okay, so this one has 6 questions. What is the role of a married woman in the church? What does mentorship look like among friends? Should I say all 6 of it?
Yeah, good point. Going. Let's see.
Okay. How do you handle young ladies, either single or married, who do not want to be mentored or would rather have their own experiences? How do you parent boys as a woman without taking the place of their father? Please recommend activities that help us strengthen our bonds with our daughters. Please share with us the reason for homeschooling. What of boarding schools?
May I have that paper so that I can just keep on going? So yeah, these are a lot of questions. What is the role of married women in the church? The role that you play as a married woman in the church is that you are supporting your husband to function in the church. Okay, so if he's an elder or he's a leader or he's a man, okay, because you are a married woman, you are strengthening him. You are strengthening him to become a leader in the church, functional in the church. Okay, and of course you are also exercising your gifts in the life of the church. But your man must now be more visible in the church because you are there. Okay, that is your role as a married, perhaps as a married woman, and many other things that we've talked about, already. Yeah, so you remember, you are married so that your husband can be strong, okay? So he needs to be strong in the church, visible, able to go to meetings because he's not encumbered by a lot of things that you are taking over from in his home. What does relationships look like among friends? Mentorship look like among friends? Sometimes this can be, it's very difficult because sometimes you are all on the same level or in terms of knowledge, feelings. But the Bible also talks about friendships that sharpen, as iron sharpens iron, isn't it? There are those friendships where you are encouraging each other, you are building each other instead of discouraging each other. You see wrong dressing, you talk about it. Yeah. You see, you are all fighting to be sanctified. You are really building your spiritual lives. You are at meetings. You are serving the Lord. You are encouraging each other to serve the Lord. When you see your friend is not at church 1 month, not in any ministry, they are just church church people who are just coming to church service without being involved in the life of the church. You need to talk about that. Let's go. If you want to go to a mission trip, you are building churches, you're starting churches now, you can do a mission trip to one of the stations. You go there to strengthen the pastor's wife there, maybe with your friends. And so you're encouraging one another to be in service of the Lord. And they are always pointing one another to that, to the Lord Jesus Christ, and remembering that we are on a journey, like Christian. Okay, he had a goal. Okay, and he was distracted on the way, but he had a goal to get to. And even us, we are on a journey. Sometimes someone is going to fall out, be discouraged. Evangelist always came to the rescue of Christian, right? Yeah, Christian goes this way, evangelist comes in. And we can be that to one another. And that is very important. You must never be that bad friend who discourages. Because you are peers, you may just find that maybe your friends won't treat you like your older people because you are, in terms of experience, you have the same experience. How do you handle young ladies, either single or married, who do not want to be mentored and would rather have their own experiences? What it means, what you do is teach them. Take them to Titus chapter 2. Okay? It's a responsibility of Titus to teach the older women. The responsibility of older women to teach the younger women. And for that reason, the younger women need to be teachable. Because firstly, they do not have the knowledge. They've also come into the church with unbiblical and biblical worldviews, which need to be changed by teaching. Remember what I said, maybe you were not there. What I said was that when in the church, in the life of the church, when people get converted, we are being converted from this old life into the new life. In the Christian life, the Lord is telling us to make disciples of all nations and teaching them to observe everything that Christ has taught. Okay? So this world, you are not just going to use your past experiences on and understanding on how marriage is run, on how dressing is done, on how friendship is run, on how a boy-girl relationship is done. Here, there are rules. God has got expectations. And so you need to sit under your elders, to be taught about what this looks like. And apart from the elders, you have these older women God has ordained in the life of the church. Hopefully they understand what they're supposed to be doing to actually teach you on how to love your husband, how to love your children, on how to be kind, on how to be chaste, on how to be self-controlled, on how to be busy at home, to be a homemaker, and how to love your husband. Okay? So you need to be teachable. Because by nature, because of you are young, you are ignorant. Okay? And if you're coming from the world because you are young, you actually come with ideas and philosophies that are not biblical in the church. So your demeanor must be that of being teachable. Okay? So look for mentors who can do that. It's a biblical thing, actually. If you want to remain untaught, to do your own thing, you're going to miss out, and most likely you're going to find yourself making mistakes in your Christian life. And how do you parent boys as a woman without taking the place of their father? It means you were not here yesterday. When you are teaching boys as parents, the commandment or the responsibility is for you both as a father and mother. I took you through Proverbs this morning. Proverbs kept on saying, "My son, listen to your father's instruction and do not forget the law of your mother." Okay? And this is to a son. Okay, if you read Proverbs chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, this is how Proverbs begin. Okay? And so it's not just the responsibility of a father to teach a son. even for me as a mother, like I've told you, for me, this is what I did. I would look at my sons and I'm thinking to myself, what is my long-term, what is my short-term goal? What is God's design for my children? And the chances are there'll be husbands, there'll be fathers, there'll be leaders in the church. So how am I supposed to bring up these children? Okay, so you are teaching them, you're giving them theology, you're teaching them to take responsibility from the time they're young, and you're always saying, when you grow older, you are going to be a husband, you are going to be the provider, you are going to be the protector, you are going to be this. So from a young age, of course, you are mindful that they may not understand, you're not pushing that, but from a young age, they need to know that this is where they are going. You're pushing theology, you're reading your doctrine, books that you're giving them in the home, everything that you're doing that. Now, I also said that as a husband, the husband has got this vision for the family. This is where I'm taking my wife, this is where I'm taking my children. And he does that, and you subject yourself to your husband's teaching. But even you as a mother, you need to have an agenda. Okay, my children, these are the behaviors that I'm seeing now, and this is not going to achieve the goal for which they're supposed to go. And you come in on your own. You're also now teaching. You're teaching character. You're teaching the Bible. You're teaching everything, and you're not undermining your husband. So remember. You are helping your husband in parenting these children. And in any case, you are more with the children than your husband is. Your husband will be at home most of the time. You'll find that you are the one spending more time with these children, isn't it? Yeah, that's just how it works. So if you are the one who is spending more time with the children, why don't you be the means of maximizing the scriptures, the exposure of the scriptures to them? And so you will see that you can do a lot of things to make sure that even if it's boys, you are taking them to that direction. You don't leave it to your husband alone. Okay. Please recommend activities that help strengthen our bonds with our daughters. Activities in the home, it can be cleaning activities, cooking activities, baking activities. You're going out, you're shopping. As you're shopping, she's learning how to shop. As you're cooking, she's learning how to cook. You can do a getaway, weekend getaway, just so that you want to bond. You can play games, you can do sport together, pick one sport and you go and play with it. And you can start when you have a small girl child. Let's go for shopping. Maybe you leave the boys. A lot of boys are bored with shopping. There are a few boys who come and maybe want to buy, but just take them out like that. Just doing activities that is going to enhance friendship. I think that is very important. Sometimes they need to see you vulnerable. How do you behave on the road? Okay, road rage, whatever. That kind of thing where you're involving them in order for you to enhance this activity. You can do board games. Just so much that you can do together as the girly things. Okay, if you want to make earrings or you want to do your hair, you do those kind of things together. Some of the activities you can also. I think internet is full of activities that you can actually do with your children. That can make you bond. Also see what your children like. They may not like certain things, so capitalize on some of the things that they like so that it's easier for them to enjoy that activity instead of it looking like it's being forced on them. Please share with us the reason for homeschooling. What of boarding schools? Okay. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 6 talks about us introducing our children to God, isn't it? So homeschooling is a means or one of the tools for parenting. Okay, maybe I should have put it there when I was talking about teaching. So it's one of the tools you're going to see. So it's like I said, when you are bringing up children or before you have children, you need to decide, of course, how many children, but also planning how are we going to raise them. Yeah. So if your wife is going to be at home, you already decide, maybe when you have children, maybe this is what we are going to, to do. Maybe you stay at home or you work part-time. But also, what other things are we going to be doing? So you're going to be reading together books that are going to help you have a mutual understanding of parenting, like you go through shepherding a child's heart as a couple. Okay. How to deal with teenagers? You can read Paul Tripp's book on the age of opportunity, so that you can have the same mind. Is this how we want our children to be raised? Another way we want to do in order for us to introduce our children to God is homeschooling, Christian, homeschooling, using a Christian curriculum. Because now homeschooling has become so common that even non-Christians are homeschooling, but on secular education. So why am I choosing a Christian curriculum? It is so that through their academic work, they are looking at math from God's point of view. They are looking at history from God's point of view. They are looking at language from God's point of view. So that in all of it, God is seen. They are seeing God. I'm having devotions. Everything is God, that I'm doing. That is usually the goal of homeschooling. It is not just so that they can have an education, but it is that you are there to, as a tool of parenting. So you're not just parenting them by giving them academics, but you're also watching over them. How are they working? What is the attitude towards work? How are they responding in class? How are they behaving, to one another if there are a number of them? And it becomes a tool for you to actually parent on the spot. Because whether you like it or not, when your children go to school, you miss out on that behavior in the classroom. Yeah, isn't it? You miss out. How they speak to their friends, you miss out and you can't correct it. How they're resolving conflict, you're hoping that you have a teacher who has an eye, to those kind of character issues, and that they can point them to Christ. There must be redemption. There must be redemption. So when you are seeing those things, you're telling them, why do you think you are behaving like that? Okay, it's because what, you were born in sin. You have a bad heart, and God needs to change that. That's how come you are behaving like that. So every opportunity, every behavior, you are actually showing them the law. You are also bringing the gospel to bear. Okay, because you are there 24/7, you have an opportunity to have such an influence on your children. And it also changes you, because as you are doing that, you are also growing, hopefully, in grace. So that's what I can say about homeschooling. It's a tool to parenting. Boarding school, same thing. You are not parenting. So one of the reasons why you should discourage boarding school as much as you can is that, you do not have a lot of time with these children. Yeah. So if you are going to give 3 months to someone else to parent for you, what are they parenting? 6 months, what are they parenting? Do you even know what is going on? And remember, there's going to be an accountability. Yeah. So what you do, who you place your children in, whose hands you place your children in, it is you who is making that decision to do it for you. And in the end, whether they do a bad or good job, you are the one who is responsible. Okay.
Okay, so 4. What does it mean to say that we are sovereign as beings? We are created. What does it mean to say we are sovereign as beings? Second part is, we are created to subdue. Can a 2-year-old subdue you? No. How do you achieve this without raising the heads of those idols earlier mentioned? Entitlement, control, and so on. Then the final part of that question is, isn't Ruth sleeping at the feet of Boaz a flirtatious act? Should we counsel our daughters to lurk around the men they admire?
Okay, so what does it mean to be sovereign? To be sovereign, it means to be a ruler. Okay, you have this control. And like we said, God is the only one who has absolute sovereignty. Okay, but he has given us opportunities to be small rulers. Okay, you can be a ruler of a country, a ruler of a home, for you, a ruler in your home. Okay, as a mother. So in that sense, God shares that rulership. That's what sovereignty means, simply put. And the second question, can our young 2-year-old They cannot rule over us. Yeah, you are the one who is supposed to rule over them because you are the one who has been given the mandate to train up your children, isn't it? God has not given children to rule over you. There's nowhere in scripture where you'll find that kind of scripture. Okay, so the children are supposed to obey you because it's you God has put in charge. God has not put a 2-year-old in charge of you. Okay, so as a result, he can't determine when you must spank him, when he must sleep, where he must go. You are the one who must direct that child. Okay, what's the other part?
So the second part of that question is, how do you do that? How do you subdue and control and train your 2-year-old without raising those idols, entitlement, control, and the other ones you mentioned?
Yeah, when you are conscious that it's God who has given you the mandate. Yeah, you are not doing this for yourself. Yeah, you need to remember, and so it's one of the things that you need to be conscious of as a parent, that parenting is a God-given activity, it's God-given opportunity, and you are doing it for God, and therefore you are going to do it God's way. Okay, and when you understand that, you discover that even when you are spanking, you are not spanking because the child has disappointed you. You are spanking because this child has disobeyed God. Okay, so therefore you are going to be particular. A child breaks a glass by accident. Are you going to spank him? No, because it's an accident. And yet there are times when a child breaks a plate and we spank them. Okay, that spanking is about you. It's not about God. Okay, so it's being aware of things like that. And sometimes a child tells a lie, you don't spank, but you spank when a child breaks a glass. So it's like you are spanking when a child does wrong to you, not when God is offended. And that when God is offended, it doesn't even bother you. Okay, you need to be bothered when this child is telling lies. You need to be bothered when this child is disobedient, because you know what? He is actually saying no to God. And does he know who this God is? When you have a high view of God, it will penetrate into how you parent your children. When they offend God, you'll be feared with or is it sorry? Okay, in a sense, you'll be like Job, who when his children are going out, they're having a party, what does he do? He prays, he fasts, just in case my children have sinned against God. Okay, you need to have that kind of high view. And so in order for you to overcome those idols, God must be lifted. Okay, idols usually come in the place of God. So how do you deal with that? God must be the one who is worshipped.
Okay. And the last part is about Ruth sleeping at the feet of Boaz. Should we encourage our daughters to be flirtatious around the men they like?
Yeah.
Or lurk around the men?
Yeah, so I'm not too sure whether in the, maybe in their time, that is how they did things. It must have been a cultural thing. So in our time, what are some of the cultural things that we do, maybe to win a man? But for them, I think that time when a thing like that happened, okay, the man also knew, okay? He knew what that meant. He knew what that meant. And the following day, remember, Naomi is actually saying, don't worry, just keep quiet. The man will not rest. Okay, he's going to do the right thing. So there was an understanding that if a woman did that, this is what it meant. And sure enough, Boaz went ahead and look at where it ended. So that was a cultural setup. It doesn't mean that Ruth was reckless. Okay. That was not even the case. There was just initiative, okay, on the part of Ruth and Naomi, okay. There was just initiative. So I guess you can also have initiative on how do you get a man. I think I've given you some ideas, ladies. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So, like the first one is like Rebecca, what do? You are focused on the Lord's work. Just concentrate on what you're supposed to be doing. This man will be praying for a girl who is going to be this, that, and the other. And as he's looking at you, he's going to see, oh, she fits my prayer. Okay, that girl, Okay, so that is one way. Serving the Lord in the church, not because you want a man to look out at you, but because you genuinely want to serve the Lord. So concentrate on what you're supposed to be doing as a girl. Watch your dressing. Okay, watch your character. Okay, watch your manner, because they are watching. Are you a homemaker? You mustn't be head. Okay? Wifehood. These men hear those tones. These men hear what you think about being married, isn't it? And if the moment you are saying, after all, whatever, this man knows, I don't want to marry a fellow man. Okay? And that one, the way she carries herself, she carries herself like she's a man, and I can't deal with that. So those are some of the things that you need to, pay attention to. And of course, if you like someone, invite them home for a meal. Inviting brothers, you like one, invite two, invite them, like it's not so that it's not obvious, right? Yeah, invite them for a meal. Yeah, save them, have time. You'll be talking. As you are talking, people will get to know who you are. Okay, they'll be asking questions. Yeah. So you must be, where there's a meeting, if it's a youth meeting, you are there. Okay. Where they are serving, you are there. You don't keep away. Okay. You do your duty. You do things like that. So in a sense, you show yourself. You must be there. Showing you are there, you are present, you are visible. So make yourself visible. Okay. Not where, also make sure that when you are being asked, what do you think about this, either in a crowd or as a single, if your answer is wrong, you definitely, it won't happen. And if you look at the life of Ruth, Boaz watched that girl the moment she appeared in Israel. She heard about Naomi and this daughter-in-law, how she followed her mother-in-law. Already it was a good reputation, isn't it? Yeah. How she worked in that field to provide for herself and her mother-in-law. Remember, Boaz is even telling the workers, leave some for her. Leave some for her. So he already knew, he was watching her to a point where he was even protecting her by saying, don't go into another field, just remain here so that you are not abused. Okay? So he watched her life. By the time Ruth was doing what she did, and for him to act the way that he acted, there was knowledge, there was contact. Okay? And that is how you do it.
What should a woman do if she's growing spiritually, but her husband is growing at a much slower pace? What role should she play?
Yeah, to strengthen the husband. The question is asking why is he doing this?
What should she do since he is growing slower?
Yeah. So it is talking to him. I think there's value in just sitting down and expressing your concern. That this is what she's observed. You're not reading the Bible, maybe. You're not reading the books that normally perhaps you're going to read. You're not excited about the church. You're not excited about the means of grace and what is going on. Okay, so you can shepherd your husband like that, encouraging him. What is the problem? And he may share. Okay, maybe I'm just not doing well. I think I need to do better. Because in all of us, it's true, isn't it, that sometimes our prayer life is not as good. Maybe we're not also growing as fast as we should. Now, it's more visible, I think, for a man than for a woman. Because for us, we just follow behind. Sometimes the excuses behind our husbands, isn't it? But for men, because they're visible, it's going to show. And that's why, of course, because they are leaders, they are supposed to grow, to lead you, to lead the family. They need to really be doing well spiritually. So do whatever you can. But they also need to seek help. If they encourage them to seek help, there are very few men who will seek help. A lot of men will be struggling. And even when maybe they can't deal with this issue, the last thing they want is for someone else to be told that they're not doing well. Yeah. So in that situation, you need to be wise as well, so that you do not disturb him or show that perhaps you're not respectful. But encourage him to see one of the elders, just to say, look, this is what is going on. Maybe we need help. That's why the shepherds are there during those kind of times. So get help. Maybe talk to one of his friends. Maybe you may be more free. You look at your friend Have you talked to him? There's value in those kind of things. So those are some of the things that you can do as a, as a wife. A lot of us women, because we are not grounded spiritually, we feel intimidated. What can I teach a man? Yeah, it's like he's supposed to be teaching me. So what can I do now? So you can pray for him. Praying is very important. Sometimes what you do when you're having your devotions, you can say, can we have our devotions together? Okay. And I think that's a good way of him now, leading. So because you're encouraging him to pray together instead of him praying alone. That way you're strengthening him and strengthening one another.
So I'm going to paraphrase this question because it's a bit unclear. So
Okay.
what the person is trying to say is, what do you say to a man who always follows your lead? So you're the one who, as a woman, who always has to lead. You're the one who has to make the decision, and he's comfortable with following your decisions. He's comfortable with being a follower.
Yeah.
But you are not comfortable because you want him to be more of a leader to set the pace so that you can submit to him.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I think that scenario speaks to someone about someone who does not perhaps understand his role. Or maybe he's intimidated, or he has this inferiority complex, maybe because perhaps you are more educated, you are more knowledgeable. So a lot of men, because you come across like that, they will just think, okay, I think she's wise. She knows how to make money better than me, and that kind of thing. So you'll find that some of them will lead you. There are some men who just maybe don't care, and it's fine. But if you're not comfortable, it means then that something is wrong. So you need to talk about it and just say, tell him that you're uncomfortable. Okay, you say, I am uncomfortable. Don't say, you don't do that. Okay, you say, I am uncomfortable about this, so that he doesn't defend himself, but you are telling him how you are feeling, and hopefully he can take it up from there.
Last question. I think you already answered this, but how do I maintain a biblical womanhood as a single woman without spouse or children?
Yeah. What I think maybe I've answered, but it's just
Servant.
have your doctrine right. When your theology is right about who you are in the Lord, what you are created for, even if a man is not there, or you are created to serve the Lord, isn't it? You are created to serve the Lord in your home. It may even be in your parents' home. What is God's design for you as a child in a home? It's obedience. You're also serving the family. You're contributing towards the upkeep of the home, serving in the church. Because ultimately that is what God has called you to be. God saves you so that you can live out this Christian life of service, and you're glorifying God. Well, if a man comes, he comes, and you continue that journey and serving the Lord in that realm. But whether married or not, you have the same goal. It's just that in the one, there'll be no husband, perhaps no children. But like I said, you can also be deliberate about evangelizing, really like mentoring, these small children, and you become like a mother figure to them, because you understand, what your call is and what you can do in the life of the younger people, in the children, in the life of the church. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. I think I need to say my thank you to you. Thank you so much for having me. I was looking forward to coming, meeting old faces, and I've met new faces. It's been a delight. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time. It's just amazing how many questions you have. Just the desire to learn. I've also learned quite a lot. I've been encouraged. I'm really grateful to the Lord for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom.